Good morning, good afternoon, whatever time of day it is that you are listening, folks. Thank you very, very much for listening. Today is the 24th of November. The year is 2025. Welcome to yet another edition of The Coping Hour, hosted by Nicholas Hinkle, a.k.a. Motanoa. Two very brief things up top, two little pieces of information to get your week started here at The Coping Hour. The first piece of information, if you listen to the show outside of YouTube, you listen to it on Spotify, maybe on Apple Podcasts, there wasn't an episode. The last episode didn't happen for you. I don't know what's going on. I don't know. I've uploaded the episode 3 times at this point. On my end, the episode is uploaded. Everything is successful. It's done. And on my end, it looks like it's uploaded, but it hasn't. I guess I haven't actually checked today on Sunday, the day I'm taping this, if it's come up. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I am aware. Coping Hour staff has been made aware of the issue that it's not appearing on services outside of YouTube, but we're monitoring it and we're doing everything that we can to remedy the situation. The second piece of information, Thanksgiving this week here in America, we're going to be hosting some in-laws going to be coming into town. Very excited for it. Very excited for the holidays. And I will be converting this space that I'm, currently taping the show. Will be converted. This is the spare bedroom, right next to a bed right now. I'll have to tear all this shit down. All this goofball stuff that I have in the other room, I'm gonna have to put it all away once people get here, because we're gonna have people, staying over. So this is gonna be the only show for the rest of the week. So I apologize for that. And we should be back on Monday. I don't know. Every time we take one of these breaks, it's always something with me in this show, and we take a little bit longer than we're supposed to. We should be back on Monday, but I just won't be able to do a show. It's, Thanksgiving is on Thursday. I'm going to be eating all day and drinking all day. I'm not going to tape a show on Thursday night, which is it's too bad, but I just wanted to let you know now. No, there will not be a show on Friday, and I do apologize for that. Okay. Let's get the show started. I watched some fun hoops this weekend. It was on Saturday. It was like the middle of the day. It was like noon. Randomly, there's this Clippers Hornets game on. And whoa, I was like, all right, well, this is, if nothing else, serves as really good sort of passive background like noise while I'm just doing stuff with my kid all day. Like, all right, well, that's fine. Well, then James Harden has 27 in the first quarter. James Harden does it. He could have had 29. Went to the line to shoot 3 at the end of the first quarter. Only made 1 of them. Could have had 29 in the first quarter, which would have been a career best from him in a single quarter. Tied his personal best at 27. So I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, okay, like a nice little Saturday matinee game where I just get to watch James Harden, kind of go like vintage a little bit, go a little bit retro, just like really get in his bag and score 100 points in a game. Did that happen? Kind of. I mean, he ended up scoring 50. And I got the numbers here. Give me just a second. I'll pull this up. Because I was talking to Jacob, a.k.a. Rusty Buckets, about this. James Harden did end up having 50 in that game. That was only the 25th time in James Harden's career that he had 50. 25. I you know what? I'm a bad host because I probably should have, if anything, posed that as a question first. If I had to ask you blindly, because this is sort of this is where I was going with it. Is like blindly, if I asked you, how many times has James Harden scored 50 in his career? I just think you're going to say more than 25. Like maybe you're going to say 30 and you're not going to be that far off. But it does feel like it's more than 25. And I said that to Jacob. I was like, I've been watching the Clippers game. It's only the 25th time. That seems wrong. It doesn't seem like it's high enough. He goes, he's probably had like 1,047 plus point games. I go, I'm thinking to myself, that's a good point. Actually, that's probably true. He goes, he's had 64 times. Yeah, that sounds right. I maybe would have said 5. If you said, how many times has James Harden had 60? I might have said 5, but 4 sounds right. But he seems like he said 25 times is a lot of times to score 50, by the way. But this is just like the way that, I guess this is a compliment to James Harden that I thought he's done it more. And then Jacob followed it up with this. He's only had 19 games with 40 to 49 points. Even that, all of that just seems low, but it was very nice, honestly, I couldn't tell you the last time that I just watched a random game that James Harden was playing in where he had 50 it's been close to 10 years, since he was with Houston at least. And it was really fun. It was really fun to just watch him tee off on a Hornets team that otherwise had no answers for him. And to watch a Clippers offense that, at that time, that was kind of all that they were going to get, is whatever James Harden could give them, And it was just coming down the floor, and he would take 4 dribbles, and he would just shoot the ball. And then it wouldn't hit the rim. It would just rip the net. And then, of course, I'm watching the Hornets broadcast for this, so Eric Collins, God love him. Oh, James Harden. Oh! No, he was actually pretty tame. It was more like, and this honestly, this made it feel more like vintage and retro James Harden, to be honest, is it wasn't Eric Collins, who was otherwise like super animated and sort of famously over the top. It wasn't him going nuts that James Harden was just shitting all over Charlotte. It was them just sighing. It was James Harden hitting like a sick hezzy tween step back 3 and them just going, okay. Okay. Which is really, so, you know what I mean? Like, doesn't that feels very familiar. That feels very familiar when it comes to James Harden and his shenanigans. Wasn't really even doing like foul baiting stuff. Like, he wasn't, you think James Harden, if he had 50, well, okay, so if he had 50 points, that means he had like what, at least 10 arm hooks. No, he didn't really do that. He was kind of like getting, look, it's crazy to say in 2025, did it finally happen? James Harden may have just had the most ethical 50 piece that he's had in his entire career. I think that he might have. It was really fun to watch. Honestly, he could have gotten more. I mean, it gets to a point in the fourth quarter. They didn't need to keep playing him in the second half. He kind of trailed off with his shooting in general. And so that kind of stunk. I really wanted to. It's a Saturday and you're playing like a noon game. Like, there's college football on, and instead I'm deciding to watch the Clippers play the Hornets. Like, you could have given me 60, but he gave me 50. And it was fun to watch. Especially, I mean, anybody else on the Clippers. I got this pulled up right in front of me too. Anybody else that I wanted to? John Collins. Here's a little thing on John Collins. I don't know how many other guys I could say this super confidently about in the NBA right now. There are definitely a few to a lot of them, but I do know that off the top of my head, if you ask me, like, who's just a good pro in the NBA, John Collins, I think, would come to mind. I think he might be my number one. I think he's just a good player who may not always play on good teams, but like, namely when he played for the Jazz, and, well, honestly, if the Clippers team right now, this Clippers team is not good at all. I should have said super fun game from James Harden. This team isn't good. This team is not good at all. But I really think John Collins is such a good player, and I think just a good professional is the way to describe him. So I really like him. Zubats, of course. What's there really to say about him? Batum. Yeah, this game kind of did in some ways turn into like a sort of like, bowl season in college football is slowly approaching. This was like the fuck, come on, there's a joke in here somewhere. I've already killed it at this point. This was like this guy's on this team? I didn't know that. Bowl game. Nicholas Batum, I guess I forgot that he was on the Clippers. I completely forgot. Is that new? Because I didn't really feel new. Red, white, and blue teams and Nicholas Batum. I guess, how many teams could I think of off the top of my head that he's played for? Well, Charlotte, pretty famously when he played for Charlotte, which, by way of Portland, I should say, the journey starts in Portland if you're Nicholas Batum. That's when he really exploded, like the early Dame days, like back when he was hitting shots against the Houston Rockets, right? Like when Dwight was on the Rockets and Dame was hitting, people think, Dame buzzer beaters in the playoffs. They think about the Oklahoma City shot and him waving goodbye to Paul George and the single craziest shot that I think has ever been hit in the history of the NBA. I really mean that, man. I think that shot that Dame hit against OKC, that's number one. I really think it is. That's what you think of. No, but the shot that he hit against Houston in, what would that have been? 13, maybe 14? Would it have? It couldn't. Yeah, I'll say 13, maybe. The 2013 playoffs, when he hit that shot. I think Batum was on that team. I think he was, right? So that's when he kind of, burst onto the scene. He goes to Charlotte. His career is over. they completely broke him. I don't know. He's played for the Sixers. Is this the second time that he's played for the Clippers? And then who else is there that I'm not thinking of? I think that might be it. There might be one or two other teams. No, that's pretty much it from the Clippers. I didn't even have to. That's kind of a weird way to spend 3 minutes. It's just on Nick, just sort of on Nick Batum's career. That's it from the Clippers. What did I have from the Hornets? Well, look, I feel bad. I feel really bad. I've tried all day, specifically thinking about what I'm about to say. Trying to say it in a way that isn't just like mean, and it sounds like I'm just being mean for the sake of like being mean because like people on the internet just like are mean. Like that's not where this is coming from. It's really not. But I see, all these deadlines with contracts and whatever, like are starting to approach December 15th and January like 15th or 16th. And so that just means in the NBA, like the trade rumors we're going to talk a little bit about, various ones today, I think. But like the trade rumors really start to heat up in the NBA. And one of the guys really since we taped the last episode, like this is fresh, like over the weekend, this really started to heat up. These LaMelo trade rumors, I think it was Kelly Iko that was the first one to report something about this. I don't remember what it was, but it was like, hey, the Hornets will listen to offers. And LaMelo like quote tweeted it or posted on his Instagram story. I don't remember what it was. Like posted that, like a screenshot of that, and just replied with like a clown emoji. I mean, NBA players and these damn clown emojis, they love the clown emoji. And so it's like, okay, so LaMelo's like, obviously this isn't true. And then like 10 other journalists kind of ran with the same thing. And so it's like, okay, so we're doing the LaMelo thing. Look, I don't want to base it. It just happens that I was just watching the Hornets Clippers game, and so watching him play is just kind of fresh on my mind. They're playing. Is it Toronto that they're playing right now? No, that's it. I was just watching them on League Pass. I was just flipping back and forth between the Sunday Night Football game and literally the Hornets. I swear to God, I was just watching them. So it's just kind of fresh on my mind. Look, where is the chase, and how do I cut to it? What am I trying to not be mean about? I think it stinks, man. If you're a Hornets fan, that like that's the guy that you've saddled up for and that you have to root for, and that I think it stinks that if you're a team that is about to trade for LaMelo Ball, potentially, right? Like a Sacramento type character in this story seems like maybe could play a significant role. I think it kind of stinks, honestly, that you have to tie yourself to that wagon and like pretend that you're excited about it, because I think a few things can be true here. Like I'm coming in super hot here, so I don't want it to seem like I think LaMelo stinks or like anything like that. Like, you're going to maybe go to the comments and like tell me like some, advanced numbers or like super simple numbers. Like, I don't know. And I'm just going to say, like, I just don't think that's a player that the numbers, advanced or otherwise, are actually worth looking into that much and like worth contextualizing to like any degree, because I just don't think he takes it seriously enough at all to ever play for a team that is ever playing any meaningful games. And in a lot of ways, honestly, I think that's why he's so perfect for Charlotte. I'm really, excuse me, I'm really coming in hot here, and I apologize, especially if you're a Hornets fan. Because like all I'm saying is like, yeah, your franchise player is like a loser, and which is actually fine because you have a loser franchise, and what's a better marriage than that? No, I don't know. Like, teams are gonna want. He's an all-star. Did he win Rookie of the Year? Like, did he? Look, he's got something of a trophy case, and he's got accolades, and he's a really talented player. He really is. Super gifted scorer. Like, yeah, he's a good passer, but I don't really think of him as a playmaker. Like, he's a good connector when he decides in his head that it's not his turn to dribble the air out of the ball for 16 seconds and then just take a shot. You know what I mean? Like, when he or like when he just gets doubled and he's like, all right, fine, like, I'll make a play. Like, yeah, he's really good at like passing the ball, but that's just not like what he does. Like, that guy, I really don't know, man, if I've seen somebody just like hijack an offense like since Melo, like since like early New York Melo or late New York. I don't know I don't know when like the numbers would suggest he was the most hijacky in New York, but you watch this guy come down the floor, and it's like everybody else knows on the like his other 4 teammates on the floor with him. No, like, all right, it's not gonna fucking happen. It's somewhat similar, not to make this about a completely different team and about a completely different player, but like you've been seeing some of these clips of D'Angelo Russell playing for this Mavericks team. There was one where he, I swear to God, for 21 seconds dribbled the ball, and they were doing like, they're just like running screen roulette. And then was it Najee Marshall? Was it Najee Marshall? That doesn't sound like it would. It could have been him. Is he even on the Mavericks right now? Did he just get? I don't want to fix it on that because it literally doesn't matter. D'Lo fed somebody a grenade with 3 seconds on the clock, and that was the entire possession. And it's like, oh, okay, so that's why he was in the doghouse to start the season, why Jason Kidd wouldn't play him, was he was protecting the Mavericks and the world from the fact that it's completely over for a guy like D'Angelo Russell. Got it. For a guy like LaMelo Ball, again, it's not that he's not, like, good. Like, he's super duper talented. But I just don't think he cares. I really just don't. I don't think there's anything that indicates that he cares at all. Do you hear, and this doesn't have anything to do with anything, honestly, but if you watch Hornets games and you just listen like in the sort of in between, whether it's in transition or in a half court, like, I don't know, like when the commentators aren't talking, if you listen to the mics that are on the floor and LaMelo and the way that he screams at people, it's so crazy because I don't want to like do an impression of it because I don't want to like blow out the mic and like just start yelling and like do like a girly yell. But that's really the only way to describe the way that LaMelo will go for the ball. He'll go for the ball. And he gets really like 5-year-old-y about the whole thing. And it happens, I don't know, like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times a game. But he just gets really just, give me the fucking ball. And it's, what are you supposed to do? What are you supposed to do? Because if you're Charlotte, right, organizationally, it's fine to have a guy like that who like doesn't really care because he's going to get like his numbers and he's going to put again, he can get some really tough buckets and he's a really fun player to watch, but I just don't think it's ever going to be on a team that like is real or matters. And so, like, this is just a really shitty way of, like, again, like, there's just no way for me. I don't know how to, like, make this point without sounding exactly how I'm sounding. Because I really I like him. Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with him. But, like, well, despite the fact that, I've spent I don't think there's anything wrong with him, despite, No, I don't know. I just, if I'm a team he's a super hot name in the trade market right now, and I'm like, who's going to go get him? Who's going to go get him that it isn't for, like, the exact same reason that Charlotte has held on to him for this long to begin with? Which is just like, hey, we got to have somebody on the team, We got to have some, because you know who really likes LaMelo? People who buy jerseys. People who watch TikToks. That guy's like a big moneymaker, for sure. That's a big name, a big, like, brand to have on your team, for sure. So I just don't know, like, who would be trading for LaMelo Ball that it wouldn't just like kind of be for the same reason, Like you talk about Sacramento and how Sacramento's kind of like poking around like, yeah, we're going to be major buyers in this trade market here between now and February. I wonder why. Because right now they're trying to sell to their fans DeMar DeRozan, Zach LaVine. Oh, okay. Domantas Sabonis. Well, he's hurt now. Keegan Murray, I still like Keegan Murray a lot. So, but like, you know what I mean? So what if instead we were selling LaMelo Ball? Like, it's just, that's kind of just like what Charlotte's doing. Do you know what I'm saying? I would just be shocked if when the Shams notification comes through that this LaMelo trade happens. If it happens, it might not. I don't know. I really don't know. Charles Lee is in no man's land right now. God knows why anybody would take this job. But when that trade, if it happens, comes through, I'm just going to be shocked if it's a team that I otherwise right now think is serious, Like, okay, here's a good example. Houston, well, fuck, hold on. Whoa, hold on. Houston is a team that you would think could be in the market for a point guard. The right guy becomes available or otherwise. Maybe we never know they're available. And it's one of those trades, someone that you never would have otherwise thought. I would be shocked if they were the ones that got LaMelo. I don't know. Hold on. Let's just think about it for a second. Super dynamic. That offense would become super dynamic. But You know what? And this is the classic case. This is sort of the argument that you can throw at a lot of trades. There's only good old reliable. There's only one basketball. There's only one basketball. What are you going to take it away from? Because that's what I mean. It's like LaMelo will do, like, he's a good connector, but he doesn't do the link up shit. You know what I mean? I just don't think that he's a good, because right now, I don't know, dude. Yeah, like sometimes he'll give the ball to Miles Bridges, like in the like low block, and he'll kind of like do some shit. And Miles is like definitely had some moments this year where he's hooping, like the Clippers game, for example. Like had a lot of like, I don't know, it's pretty good. It was definitely hooping. You give the ball off to, I'm spending a lot of time on LaMelo, and I'm just looking at their roster right now. There's a couple other guys that I wanted to talk a little bit more about. So why don't we just the long and short of my LaMelo spiel is who's it supposed to be and why? My question would just be why? And what do you think you're going to get out of that experience that Charlotte hasn't already gotten? Again, unless maybe, I really think, like, unless you're, I just think that's so sick and that's disgusting and that's nasty. But it's not that it doesn't make sense. I just don't think it's going to happen. And then if you're, I don't know, well, if you're Charlotte at that point, you would probably be getting Reed Shepherd back. And this kind of transitions nicely. And you don't really need that because you have Concanipple at home, bro. You have Concanipple at home, who right now is the best rookie. How contentious is that? He's easily been one of the best rookies this year, man. So poised, so collected. We talk a lot about VJ Edgecombe to start the season and how he looks like a guy who's been in the NBA for like 3 years at this point. Concanipple plays like a guy who's been in the NBA for 5 years at this point. I mean, that guy, he knows the spot that he wants to get to, and he gets a good handful of it is off the catch, but that guy can put the ball on the floor a little bit, and I really like his game, and I really like watching his play. Concanipple, he's been really fun for Charlotte this year. And then additionally, just another brief Charlotte note. Brandon Miller. First of all, was very nice to watch a game where he stayed healthy the entire time. Was very nice to watch an entire game where he kind of hooped. I mean, I got the box score. I think I'll pull this up right here. I got the box score in front of me. While I'm pulling this up, just a brief note on Brandon Miller. If the brace that you wear on your shoulder is that big, I don't think you can play in the game. I don't think you can play. You can't wear a sling on the court, dude. When Blake Griffin was playing, God rest his soul, was playing for the Pistons in the playoffs in 2019, the 2 games that he played, he had a knee brace on that was the size of Little Caesars Arena itself. It was like comically, it was the biggest knee brace I've ever seen in my life. Brandon Miller's shoulder brace, you know what I mean? We're getting close. We're getting close with that. I just don't think you can play. I don't think you can play. But I got this pulled up in front of me. So the game that they played against the Clippers, yeah, he had 21, 8 of 18 from the field, 2 of 10 from 3. Don't love that. Brandon Miller, 2 of 10 from 3. He had 3 assists and 1 rebound. Yeah, so he was just kind of shooting the ball. Concanipple, since I got it, was 9 for 12. And 6 of 9 from 3, 26 points. LaMelo, I guess, also since we're at it, 18 points, 7 assists, 7 of 14 from 3. I'm sorry, 7 of 14 from the field, and 1 of 7 from 3. Real stinker of a game from 3 from this. Also, you talk about the, sorry, I started to make this point earlier, and then I completely sidetracked myself. The guys in this game that I was like, oh, holy shit, this guy plays for this team now? Pat Connaughton didn't know he was on the Hornets. Had no idea he was on the Hornets. Colin Sexton, forgot about that. I did know that, but I completely forgot about that. Who else was there? Plumlee? No, I knew that. No, I knew he was on the Hornets. But what if we stay on the trades? We do the whole thing about LaMelo. I guess maybe that's kind of where my brain's at for this episode. What if we stay on the trades for just a second and we do Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis trades are running amok. They're running wild. Anthony Davis trades are hitting the market. They're hitting the streets. People are talking. Have you seen this? Have you heard about this? Anthony Davis. The Mavericks are thinking about moving him. In light of the Nico Harrison firing, Patrick Dumont has seen the light, and he now knows that he has been hoodwinked. He was lied to. He was deceived. As somebody I don't want to do the whole Nico Harrison thing again. They might trade Anthony Davis. Okay. What I've noticed, and I think is really interesting, is the Pistons have kind of been they're being used as like a springboard by the media for like, not a springboard, maybe a soundboard for trades. The Pistons, I think in a lot of people's eyes, and we've covered it ad nauseum on this show, are in a lot of ways primed for a major move. And we also ad nauseum have covered on this show why we now no longer believe that is a good thing. And well, it is a good thing, but it's no longer the good idea. And we actually think that this team should stay together right now, and they should not go do that massive trade. But more on that later. The short version of where I'm at right now is no big fish, wait for the Rashid trade to come along. But okay, we'll get back to that in a little bit. So because the Pistons are, very obviously in this kind of pivotal moment where they could capitalize on their early season success and really just, push all their chips in the middle and take a big swing, everybody wants to talk about this, and everybody keeps pushing on the Pistons. Two names, Lauri Markkanen and most recently Anthony Davis. I believe it was Big Perk. It was Kendrick Perkins, who I think on a podcast the other day was like, I'm hearing that Anthony Davis could go to the Detroit Pistons. And so this was another thing over the weekend. This kind of became the talk of the town. Anthony Davis going to the Detroit Pistons. No. No. Nope. Don't need him. Don't need him. Would be super cool. But my thing is this. You would be giving up Ron Holland or Asar Thompson or, you'd Tobias, which is sort of just, that's the easiest way to start making the money work. You're looking at maybe Isaiah Stewart's contract in there. No, there's probably going to be capital in there. No, absolutely not. Because the best case scenario is that you're trading for 2 years of Anthony Davis, and in those 2 years, he's going to play 80 games. I guess maybe as long as 20 of those games are in the playoffs for 1 year, okay, maybe that could work. Because it stinks with Anthony Davis to be so dismissive about it, because when he does actually play in the games, and there's as little wrong with him as can possibly be wrong with him, one of the best defensive players that I've ever seen in my entire life. And so it really stinks. The way that guy can completely take over a game. You think about how the best iteration of Anthony Davis, the healthiest iteration of Anthony Davis, still for however old he is, which by the way isn't even old, but for all intents and purposes, still as good as he's ever been. Imagining that guy next to Jalen Duren, and you think about the way that Cade has spent the last, the first 15 games of the season playing with Jalen Duren. Imagine it was Anthony fucking Davis. Yeah, come on, bro. It's hard not to think of that in the most ideal, best case scenario. Those two guys going downhill off a screen and roll with Cade handling the ball. Like, they're winning the finals, and honestly, I don't think it's close. I think they're fucking murdering Oklahoma City. I don't think it's close. Of course it's going to be close, but I really do believe at least that they would win the finals. Yeah, dog, that's like the best case scenario though, but it's not going to happen. But that's not the way that it would go. And that's not even the only reason that you don't do this. That's like the 10th reason why you don't do this. I'm just trying to present a reason that I otherwise haven't said on the show for why they shouldn't make a big trade right now. 15 times in the last 2 weeks. I appreciate that everybody's trying to make it work with Detroit. I really do sincerely from the bottom of my heart. And it's the same thing with the Lauri Markkanen trade rumors right now. First of all, we spent a year ago, a lot of people sort of collectively in the NBA media sphere spent a lot of time talking about how it's going to be hard for somebody to go get Lauri Markkanen because, you got to deal with Danny Ainge and his strong arming and the way that he does business. And he refuses to ever get fleeced or to ever get anything, close to being conceived of as being fleeced. And so he's just really a pain in the ass to deal with. And so, it's not looking good on the Markkanen trade front. Oh, okay. And then Danny Ainge spent the entire summer doing the fucking dumbest business you've ever seen in your life. And I'm thinking to myself, he's giving guys away for peanuts. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, maybe the guy's lost a step. Maybe his fastballs have turned into junk balls. Maybe it's time to get on the phone. I'm not so sure. Well, we've heard. Man, this weekend, everything comes down to shit people have talked about this weekend since we've last taped the show. We're hearing, well, the rumored package is going to be, they'd have to give up Asar Thompson. They got to give up an unprotected pick. I'm dusting my fuck off. No, already. No. Nick, you got to give up, if you want a good player, you got to give up valuable shit. Both of them? Both of them. You get a SAR and the pick. No, not for Lauri Markkanen. The guy's never played in a playoff game. No. And that seems so shitty to say. I feel like I picked the dumbest things to hold against people and the dumbest reasons to say why I shouldn't say. That's not like that's not the only reason why. That's like the 10th reason why I wouldn't, want to trade for him. He's a super talented player. I'm just it all comes down to, I don't think you can destroy the identity of this team right now. And an identity, by the way, that is not fake. Like, it's super duper real. And that was proven by, hey, remember that like week of games that the Pistons played where nobody was playing? Ivy was out, and Tobias was out, and Cade was out, and Dern was out, and Asar was out. Ron Stewart was out, And we lived through Dennis Jenkins' insanity for a damn week and a half, which, by the way, isn't even technically over. That guy's still playing really, really well and is still on a 2-way contract, It's the fact that they still play the same brand of basketball when Dennis Jenkins and Paul Reed and Bobby Clinton are out there, as when, Cade and Jalen Duren and Isaiah Stewart are out there. They're playing the exact same way, and they're winning. And they win no matter who is on the floor. That's how you know the identity is real of this team, right? And I don't know that you can bring anybody in that would add to that. Right now, I don't think any player would add to that. Maybe they would in terms of in terms of what? No, they don't. I don't think they need anything right now. What do they, if I really think about it, what do they need? Because in the past, when Detroit has struggled, it's like the Cade-less minutes. And that's where Dennis Schroeder was so valuable a season ago, right? Is like supplementing Cade's minutes and just like really taking over the second unit. Well, I don't know. Like, that's kind of where we talk about Dennis Jenkins. Like, I don't know, dog. Like, he's playing super well, and like it seems like he's actually been navigating things super well for us. And, so we've been good on that front. And then also, by the way, like, Jaden Ivey's back. That's something that like maybe deserves its whole own segment. Jaden Ivey's back, by the way. We've really buried the lead. He came back against the Milwaukee Bucks on Saturday. The Pistons played a game against Milwaukee. Jaden Ivey's back. How did he look? Fine. I mean, he moved really well. That's really all that you were looking for in that game, was just like, how is he moving? Because everything else is like secondary and like it doesn't matter. This is the first game he's played, and I mean, what, like 9 months? Like, if that, like maybe even longer than that. Like, is he moving well? Yeah, he was. And it really is the first time that the Pistons have played a healthy game this season. Tobias was back, and Karis LeVert was playing, and Dern was playing, and Stu was playing, and again, Ivy was playing. Everybody was playing. Like, whoa. So the Pistons navigated this unhealthy stretch where, admittedly, the schedule was favorable to some extent. I think it's important to not overlook that the Pistons haven't played the hardest teams in the world. They've played good teams. They've played competitive teams, but also some real big stinkers, but what were they supposed to do? Lose those games? Like, they're playing the teams that are in front of them, even when they're shorthanded. And it just all goes back to the identity, man. And really how special this team is. And so, man, these trade rumors are really fun. Again, I appreciate it. I appreciate that the media is trying to, push the Pistons into. I don't know how to make this point. Thank you for talking about us. Thanks for acknowledging that we're cool and that we exist, but we're good also. And what bothers me, I'm so mad that I'm about to bring this up, but I just think it is tangentially related, and I think otherwise somebody might leave a comment about it, and I just want to cover my bases. I am thinking about this also, okay? A year ago, we did the coping tower, a pyramid of NBA dumb. We did a segment where we made a pyramid and ranking all of the dumbest people in the NBA. I'm going to spoil that for maybe the people who didn't see it or don't remember. The top of that pyramid, radioactive dumb, was Gilbert Arenas. All right? A guy who, not only since we taped that episode over a year ago, but within the last month, it was made pretty obvious that at some point in that last year, since we taped that show, has stepped into a federal building or two and had some conversations with folks, recently said on his podcast and got Pistons fans all riled up and sent them into a frenzy, something to the effect of why he doesn't think, this Cade Nike deal and, the signature shoe that he's going to be getting is something that, Pistons fans should be all that excited about, because Nike's going to have their own agenda and they're going to want to push Cade out of Detroit. It's interesting to me to think about that at the same time that every single media outlet is making some sort of trade proposal that involves the Detroit Pistons with all these various guys that are on the market right now, namely between Lauri Markkanen and Anthony Davis most recently, right? It's interesting because I'm not saying it's a 1-to-1, but it just use your damn head and you know what I'm trying to say here, right? It's kind of like what Bucks fans go through with Giannis, right? Where if all of the media is about, well, what are they going to do and what aren't they going to do to keep this guy happy, despite the guy repeatedly telling you, I'm good, I'm happy, I'm good. But then the media keeps being like, yeah, see, but we're not sure what that means. That might be code for something. We're not sure what that means. He might be unhappy, And this constant media cycle of like fixating on one guy and like the will he or won't he of like, just leaving the franchise or staying with the franchise, Like this is kind of how that shit starts. Is you talk about, oh, Detroit, they could make this big trade. And then let's say they do what would, in our eyes right now, be the right thing, and through the trade deadline, they stand pat unless there's that Rashid trade available, the aforementioned Rashid trade, which is the only thing that I think that they would do this year, right? Let's say they stand pat, they don't do anything, and then they lose in the playoffs. At whatever point they lose in the playoffs, then that same media comes back and they say, well, you look at a team that they could have struck while the iron was hot. And let's say at this point, Lauri Markkanen was traded and Anthony Davis, was traded. And both of them went for kind of like a lesser package than what we were expecting. And it was, like a decent player and like 4 second-round picks for Anthony Davis. You know what I mean? Like something that was kind of like, oh, like I thought it would be more than that. Are these same media members going to say then, like we look at the price for some of these players and, could the Pistons have done this? And then, for whatever reason, it gets back to Cade's people. And then people are talking and then Cade's like exit meetings like, hey, what the fuck is this? Look, I'm creating a complete doomsday scenario, but like, this isn't coming out of nowhere. You know what I mean? Like this is how this shit works. This is how this is super calculated. And then you tighten it. And then the tension gets a little bit higher, a little bit tighter. And then eventually you are pressured. You are pressured eventually to do something, or maybe, and I think again for this team, it's going to happen organically. When it happens for this team, it will be organic. That much I do 100% believe. Trajan Langdon is not going to do something insane just for the sake of doing something insane. When it happens, it is going to make complete sense, right? And I don't even think it's going to be something that supplements an injury, God forbid, by the way, if somebody gets hurt. I don't think it's going to be like something like that. I just think it'll be something that no matter what, it's for, like when Indiana traded for Pascal Siakam a couple of years ago, how it was like, oh, damn, that makes complete sense for a Pacers team that's just right there, that's just ready to just, take it up to another level. And then after a year and change of making that trade, they were in Game 7 of the NBA Finals. And really the only chance at that point, after, 5 minutes into the game, for the next however many minutes, it was Pascal Siakam. It was like, all right, if it's going to happen, it's going to be this guy. And then, unfortunately, it wasn't meant to be. But trade rumors in the NBA, folks, they are flying around. They're flying around like crazy. People are talking. They're saying Anthony Davis may be a Piston. They're saying he may be a Chicago Bull. They're saying that Lauri Markkanen, really, I don't know what they're saying other than Detroit. I don't know who would be in the market. Other than us, off the top of my head. I mean, for a guy like that, I mean, if I really thought about it, I'm not fit, but it's the Pistons are the only team that anybody's talking about. Which again, for the final time before we sign this off, thank you. Thanks for talking about us. Love the media, love the press. copingoursubs@gmail.com. Spelled phonetically, email available in the description wherever it is that you listen to this program. We could probably do some football emails. It's an NFL Sunday here in Chicago. And let's start off with this one. Came in 2 hours ago. Haven't read this one yet, but it came into us from Cooper. Cooper is a regular emailer into the show, a guy whose emails I don't have to screen, so I know that this will be about something interesting. So, Cooper, welcome back to the show, brother. Subject line, I don't like Kevin Burkhardt. For those who don't know, Kevin Burkhardt is the A-team broadcaster for Fox. So, like the America's game of the week. So, like the number one game on Fox every week is the game that Kevin Burkhardt will call with Tom Brady. Cooper says, hey, Nick, Eagles just blew a 21. That's right. Cooper's an Eagles fan. Eat shit. No, that's not nice. It's not nice. I'm sorry, bro. I'm sorry. Yes, not nice. Yeah, the Eagles, they lost to the Cowboys. They blew a 21-point lead. That did happen. Wearing their Kelly greens. I'm sorry, Cooper. That wasn't nice. Hey, Nick. Eagles just blew a 21-0 lead to the Cowboys. I'm livid about this. You're going to be so mad. You're going to be so mad when you listen to this. You're going to be so mad. Okay, all right. I can do this. All right. I am livid. So mad. I'm livid about this, but as the game-winning field goal went through, KB's call kind of pissed me off. Kick goes up. It's good. KB says something to the effect of, kneeling, looking down on the Cowboys. Oh, that's so nice and considerate of you, Kevin. It's so sweet that you got to have your cute little moment as an announcer as a result of someone. All right, bro, I'm not going to read this. Chill. Yeah, he killed himself, but like, chill. You're mad at other shit right now. Don't take it out on the email. Just chill. It's so obviously some shit he practiced in the mirror, hoping he'd get an opportunity to use it. It's not like it just happened. This is their second game removed from it. I bet he was, all right, bro, chill. It happened like 2 weeks ago, that motherfucker, like 2 weeks ago right now, that guy was alive, all right? It did just happen. Chill. You're coming in so hot here, dude. Especially like Dak Prescott, the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. Like, his brother very famously committed suicide. Dak was the first person I thought, I'm laughing right now. This whole thing that the Cowboys are going through is a horrific tragedy. It's a horrific tragedy. For those who don't know, a player of theirs, I'll just say he committed suicide. I'll just say that. And it was in a very, very tragic and heartbreaking way. Again, like 2 weeks ago, Cooper. Yes, this just happened, bro. Like and it's not even, by the way, Cooper, brother, I know what, and you just lost bro, you just lost a really hard rivalry game. I get it. You just lost to the Cowboys. This is like, if as a Lions fan, like if I lost to the Packers, I would be feeling the same way you are right now. Like week 1 this year, when we got murdered on national TV, Romo and Nance, we got murdered by the Packers and Micah Parsons. I would have said the exact same shit that you're saying right now, honestly, bro. But it wasn't even that he died 2 weeks ago. It was that he died 2 weeks ago, 3 days after scoring his first career touchdown on Monday Night Football. On Monday Night Football, and 2 days later, the guy was fucking dead. So, yeah. And then thank God, in the days following that, the Cowboys were on a bye week. Because could you have imagined, and oh my God, Cooper would have been, thank God they didn't, because if they did play that week, then we would have been 3 games removed from it. And Cooper would have been like, oh my God, get a fucking room, this guy. Jesus, bro, let's get back to your email. What other shit is in here? All right, luckily there's not that much in here. All right, you said this is their second game removed from it. I bet he was just livid that Joe Buck got to call the Cowboys' first game after that tragedy and actually treat the situation with some grace instead of bursting at the seams to make it about yourself. Fuck you. You only called the Super Bowl last year because Tom Brady is your partner. The only thing that upset me about watching the Eagles win the Super Bowl last year was that I had the misfortune of having... All right, so you're really mad about this. You're really mad about... Oh, okay, well, hold on. You finished this off with something nice about Jim Nantz, so I'll finish this. I had the misfortune... You saved yourself at the end. I had the misfortune of having your stupid bumbling ass call the game instead of Jim Nantz because you have a better retired QB than him as a partner. Yeah, not as a broadcaster. Brady's not a. You guys see the clip? People are trying to say Brady said the N-word during the game today. And he didn't even get, if you listen to the last episode, he didn't even get $5 billion. He just said it on some for the love of the game shit. Brady was just like, damn, I haven't fired one off in a while. Oh, I got to get this off my chest, Kevin. And Kevin was like, all right, well, you're Brady and we're paying you a lot of money. And I guess this is why Kevin's just looking at Tom Brady just firing it off like like 6 times in a row. He's like, man, that's why they pay him the big bucks. No, he's fine. Both of them are completely fine. They're not a good A team. I really think that Joe Davis and Greg Olsen, I think, is a better A team. It's so funny, dude. It's so funny that the NFL was like, well, not the NFL, but Fox was like, all right, Greg Olsen, you're going to get to do this job for a year. You get to be in the A team for a year doing color commentary. And then after a year, Brady's going to take over. And everybody knows that you're just kind of a dead man walking. And then he was like, all right. And he was a good soldier through that first year. And then Brady was like, actually, I want to stay retired for a little bit longer. Like, for real, I just got divorced. My whole family left me. And so I'm just going to stay retired for a little bit longer. And so Greg Olsen got to do it for one more year. And everybody knew by the end of the year, dead man walking, right? And then Brady comes in and is like basically just doing like a B- Greg Olsen impression the whole time. It's very funny, like how similar in cadence and just the way that they deliver analysis, like how similar it is, you know? And I just think Greg Olsen is better at it. It's just that Tom Brady is like, it's Tom Brady's brain and his mouth that's like, you know what I mean? Like on the broadcast. And so you kind of just lean towards him. But I really think that Greg Olsen is actually just a little bit better at it. As for the Kevin Burkhardt call, Cooper, brother, I got to say all this, I give you all this grief. I say all this shit just to say, it was kind of weird. Actually, it was, it was kind of weird. Brandon Aubrey bangs in this, game-winning field goal. And he just kind of inexplicably goes, and yeah, Marshawn smiling down. And you're like, uh-huh. Like, it's not like it would have been one thing if the point total had switched to like what his number was. Like, what was he, like number like 44? Like if they had 41 points and they kicked that ball and it's like, no, now they have 44. You know what I'm saying? Like people did this a lot when Kobe died. People did this a lot in like the week after Kobe died. And once all these guys get to play their games, motherfuckers would be like, oh, if you add up Trae Young's points, assists, and rebounds, and field goal attempts, and steals, and minutes played tonight, it all adds up to 81-24. Like, oh my God, like Kobe was in the, like, all right, motherfucker. Like, in retrospect, like, listen, still to this day, it's one of the hardest things. Like, I won't talk about it. Like, I don't want to talk about that at all, despite the fact that I just brought it up. Like the moment that I found out, like I don't like reliving any of that shit, right? But it is very funny in retrospect how desperate you get. You remember this? You guys, this was 100% a thing that happened. I remember I had a tweet where it was like, I think the scoreboard just like totaled 81 or something, like in a random Hawks game. And I like just like took a picture of it and put it on Twitter and was like, oh my God, like I was doing this shit. And it blew up, and Christian McCaffrey ended up liking that tweet. So I was like, fuck yeah. So the same thing that I'm making fun of, I benefited from, because like how many MVPs has he won in the NFL? Well, he's one of the best running backs of all time. And like one of my tweets, just randomly. Hell yeah. Thanks, Christian McCaffrey. copingoursubs@gmail.com, spelled phonetically. Email available in the description wherever it is that you listen to this program. This one comes into us from Malik. Malik, welcome to the show. Subject line, mid-season, but a little after mid-season Super Bowl / playoff predictions. Sup, Nick? Second time, long time. Just finished watching Giants-Lions. You said GG's, very fun game. My ass it was. That game sucked. Hated that game. Not a huge fan of this team right now. The Thanksgiving game is the season. That's the whole season. I don't even want to talk. I really don't want to talk about this team right now. The one thing I will say, Jahmyr Gibbs, I think, is the most explosive player in the entire NFL. I think he should be in the conversation for MVP. I think it should be Stafford. I'll be fair to JSN. You guys see JSN? I'll get to the email in a second. You guys see JSN for Seattle just set the single season record, the single season franchise record for receiving yards in a single season. It's fucking week 12, bro. It's week 12. He's got, 5 more games to blow this record out of the water. Blow it out of the water. Great for him. Great for him. Hell yeah. Let's throw him in the MVP. I like it. Let's throw him in the MVP. Jonathan Taylor, you got to put Jonathan Taylor in there. Got to put him in there. I'm putting Jahmyr Gibbs in here. It's the only guy that I think on this team right now is worth talking about. Let's get back to the rest of your email. Watching Giants Lions, and based on the Lions, Lions keep winning them in the hunt. What are your current thoughts on what teams might be playing in the Bad Bunny concert undercard? I feel like teams like the Chiefs and the Ravens struggling, and the fall off of teams like the Vikings, it's kind of unpredictable who will be coming out of each conference, especially less predictable than recent years. Side note, from a person who watched the game but might not pay attention to the Giants, can I get a quick opinion on how the team looked? I realize that our team is nowhere near what the roster... Yeah. Have a good Sunday. Hope you and yours have a great Thanksgiving. I hope you do too, bro. The Giants looked... Yeah, you're right. And that's kind of, by the way, also what pissed me off so much about why the Lions fucked around in this game so much, is because it's like, all right, bro, you were playing a team that doesn't have a coach and doesn't have a quarterback and also doesn't have like a wide receiver number 1. Although Wan'Dale Robinson, to be fair, is actually he is a good receiver. So and he also had an amazing game. But you know what I mean. You know what I'm trying to say. So like, yeah, and they don't have their running back either. So like, Tracy is, but God damn it, you know what I'm trying to say. No, you don't have all these players, and sure, the team would stink either way. But with the the current iteration of the Giants, look, the offensive line plays hard. If you're going to be a successful team at any point, that's where it starts. You have to have an offensive line that plays really, really hard, and that's what they have. It just so happens, like the thing that stinks about, you talk about Malik Neighbors being out, or Jackson Dart being out, or Cam Scatterbo being out. Those are 3 guys who also play really, really hard. And for a team that otherwise, like, even though they stunk, like, we're actually pretty fun. They're pretty fun, In the same way, I know this take is going to sound disgusting. I know the Bengals are terrible. The Bengals are another team this year that they've been in fun games. The game they played against the Patriots today was fun. It was fun. They're going to lose the whole time, but it's fun. I mean, look, I don't know. Look, I don't think I thought they were going to lose that game against the Bears, to be honest with you. I didn't think that was going to happen. But that was a very fun game. It's probably, right now for me, I think that was the game of the year. That Bears-Bengals game, because of how insane those last, 2 minutes were, right? They play in a lot of fun games. And right now, I don't know. I don't want to comment on anything that Jameis did. I said before the game to Maddie, I said, yeah, we get to watch Jameis play today. We get to watch Jameis Winston. I said, for better or for worse, he will have a funny game. For better, he does funny shit and throws hilarious interceptions and, sacks himself in the back of the end zone. And it'll be really funny. And it's like, that's Jameis. Or it will be not funny Jameis, but funny to the rest of America, because he will throw for 500 yards and have a receiving touchdown where he stiff arms a fucking linebacker, Derek Barnes, and tiptoes into the end zone. It was that one. It was the latter iteration of Jameis. That's all that I need to... Yeah, it happened. I saw it with my own 2 eyes. I saw it. The Giants play hard. That's really it. Super Bowl predictions? Yeah, we are a little over halfway through the season, but yeah, if we want to call this the halfway point Super Bowl prediction, well, we talked about this in the last episode, and referencing that at the beginning of the season, I said if I can't pick the Lions to make the Super Bowl, which at this point I'm fucking not, I said I'm picking Tampa Bay and Buffalo. And then on Sunday they played each other. Josh Allen has this historic, very literally all-time game where he rushes for 3 touchdowns and he throws 3 touchdowns, and then follows that up a few nights later. He just gets absolutely thumped by the Houston defense, right? Yeah, you talk about how wide open the NFL is this year. You're right. I mean, the parity is you really don't know who it's going to be. What's crazy is, so I started taping this episode. We talk about Tampa Bay. I started taping this episode, I think, right as the third quarter was kicking off in the Tampa Bay, Los Angeles Sunday night game. The Rams were up 31-7. They're murdering Tampa Bay. By all accounts, the best team in the NFL. Or at least I would say probably the NFL right now would be the Rams. Just on, and Matthew Stafford playing like an MVP this season is the odds-on favorite, according to Las Vegas, to win the MVP right now, right? I say all that just to say, I'm still not sure that Tampa Bay's not going to go to the Super Bowl. I'm still not sure. Like, okay, so they just got Godwin back. They're surviving is kind of all that it is. They're playing a lot of hard teams. They got a hard schedule. They're playing tough games. They just got Godwin back, and they'll be getting Mike Evans back. And who's this kid that they've been playing in the backfield, this undrafted guy these last couple of weeks that they've been playing in the backfield? Last week, we talked about that Bills game, had a really, really good game against Buffalo. I mean, nobody had a good game. I don't know. Hey, maybe they'll come back against the Rams. Maybe I'm missing the greatest comeback in the history of the NFL. I have no idea. But, he's been really talented. I just don't think you can count out Baker. I just don't know. I think they could be good. Look, I think you talk about the Rams. It really could be them. It really could be them. That's another offensive line that plays really hard, really talented offensive line. Matthew Stafford, his ability to just get the ball out fast so that way he's not taking hits, and those don't add up. Because as soon as he re-aggravates that back, whatever he's got going on, it's over. It's wraps on the season. So they do a really good job of protecting him, whenever they need longer developing routes. And I just don't think that run game is just never, in his entire 17-year career, has never developed. We have been relying on Matthew Stafford's arm for 17 years now. So, it could be them. This Baltimore team is pretty much going how everybody thought it was going to go, where it's like, okay, they're going to suck without Lamar, and then they're going to get him back, and somehow they're still going to make the playoffs. Yeah. Yep. So far seems like that's how it's going to go. Really not running the ball that much this year, though. He had like one or two today that it was like, okay, like there he is. Like, whoop, there he is, when he really like catches the edge or, whatever it is. And he really hits that, boom. He gets that, like he hits like a damn turbo or something, boom. And it's like, oh, there he is. Yeah, I had a couple of those today against the Jets, but like not really. He just hasn't really been there. It could be the Ravens. Doesn't seem like if it's, what, man, maybe it will be the Ravens' year because it really doesn't feel like it's their year. Does that make sense? If we stay with the other, like, the teams that we're expecting it to be, like, okay, we talk about Buffalo. Yeah, it could be them. Talk about Baltimore. Yeah, it could be them. They still got a, uphill climb. Kansas City. Well, Romo did something really funny today. Tony Romo did something really funny today where in the Kansas City Chiefs game against the Indianapolis Colts, we were in the fourth quarter and Kansas City scored a touchdown and we were waiting for the extra point. And at the time, they were going to go for 2, which they did end up getting. But before they went for the 2-point conversion, they were down by 5. It was 20-15. And Tony Romo, they score this touchdown with like 10 minutes left in the fourth quarter to be down by 5 points. And Tony Romo's talking about, people, they question the dynasty, Jim. They say, oh, I don't know, Jim, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, right, Tony Romo. People will suddenly cease to question that the dynasty is over now that they're down by 5 points with 10 minutes left in this game against the Indianapolis Colts. It has similar energy to when, what was this like? Was it the 2018 playoffs when the Cavs in the first round of the playoffs, they were playing the Pacers. It was tied 2-2. It was game 5 in Cleveland, like 3.1 on the clock. LeBron catches the inbound. And it was like basically a carbon copy of the buzzer beater 3 that he had hit against Orlando like 10 years prior in like, maybe like 08 or 09. He does that. And I remember, I'll never forget the immediate discourse like on Twitter and in the media after that. I was like, oh, you'll never forget where you were when an all-time great hits a shot like that. Right. I'll never forget where I was when LeBron took a 3-2 lead over the Indiana Pacers in the first round of the 2018 playoffs, where they were the 5 seed, I think, when they took a 1-0 lead or 3-2 lead over the 4 or 5 seed Indiana Pacers. How could I ever fucking forget that? I get what Tony Romo means because the way that game ended up playing out, honestly, is kind of where I want to go with this. I think with a win, so now Kansas City's playoff probability is still not great, but I think it's like just over 50. It's not great. It's not looking. They got to win like basically every single game. They got to win a lot of games, especially that loss against Denver. This was like a week ago. Definitely did not help them at all, right? But I think what you're starting to see in the last like 2, including this week, like 2.5 weeks of watching the Chiefs play, what you're starting to see, the chunk plays are coming back. It's not so much that the Mahomes deep ball is connecting with like Rashee Rice or Xavier Worthy. It's not so much that it's the deep ball, but it is like the 15-yard territory, right? The 15 to like maybe 20-yard territory. Those throws are starting to happen a little bit more. That is what I think is kind of like, we might need to keep an eye on this. One thing that Romo called out that I think he was right about was that Mahomes was playing like this was a playoff game against the Indianapolis Colts, which in a lot of ways it was. I mean, if they lost this game, it would have been. Because that's the other thing Tony Romo talking about. People talk about dynasties. I'm like, right, they're 5-5, though. Right, they're 5-5 and very much on the outside looking in. Like, as on the outside looking in as you could possibly be, even if they win this game, which they did. So they're not dead yet. If they had lost this game against Indianapolis, they were completely dead. It was over. They're not completely dead yet. There's still some juice there, and it looks like they're... But what I'm noticing, and this is listen, here's what I'm noticing, okay? Is yes, the medium to like long-ish game is starting to connect. We're starting to see that with Mahomes and these receivers, these playmakers. But it's at the expense of the Kelsey relationship. Because as everything else is starting to be phased in, it's like the sort of there's this Kelsey resurgence that we've seen this year. This inexplicable what the fuck from Travis Kelsey this season when he's turned the clock back like not that far, but like 2.5, 3 years. Probably like 3 years, Travis Kelsey's turned back the clock. It's at the expense of that. We're starting to see him kind of be featured less and sort of make less of the big plays that he was otherwise making at the beginning of the season. But I think that's the right direction to go. And I think if that is the way that it has to be, maybe Noah Gray gets some more targets. If that's the way that it has to be, I think that that's fine. I think that's okay. Who else could it be? I mean, Indianapolis and Denver, it's not even about a Venn diagram crossing. It's just sort of the same circle. It's basically just the same circle. I would, if I had to, it's a coin flip. I don't fucking care between either of these teams. I think if I went up and down the rosters, the Colts actually do have more players that I like. I really love Jonathan Taylor, and I love Tyler Warren. I really, really like him. And we talked about this a week or two ago, man. The Colts, but it really bears repeating. The Colts in that Sauce Gardner trade, they did the single smartest thing I've ever seen a team do in the history of American sports. I mean, just the smartest business I've ever seen. They traded A.D. Mitchell in that Sauce Gardner deal, a guy who 2-3 weeks prior, had since been put on ice because of an incident that he had where he dropped the ball going into the end zone and they lost possession. All he had to do was hang on to the fucking ball and they would have scored the damn touchdown. You send that guy to Siberia, trade him off the team. I really couldn't agree with you more. And I think, honestly, maybe just because of that, he fucked the players. I think, the the Broncos haven't really done any business like that. But they do have the better defense. And they do have, one of the best defensive backs of this generation, honestly. And they have a bye week this week, so I can't say is he back. I reckon he's got to be back, coming up pretty soon. And they have Bo Nix, who just has my heart. Bo Nix will always have my heart. Since his Oregon days, not since his Auburn days. I actually didn't fuck with him at all. I hated Bo Nix when he was at Auburn. I thought he stunk. And then he went to Oregon, and I think it's just Dan Lanning, man. That's what Dan Lanning does. That's not true. You know what? Dan Lanning couldn't reputation launder Dylan, oh my God. Dylan Gabriel. He couldn't do it for me. I still to this, I took a year off of fucking with Oregon because of how little I fucked with Dylan Gabriel. I hated that guy. If they had won the Natty, I would have been so bummed because it would have been the 1 year that I had denounced Oregon football. It would have been, it really felt similar to how betrayed I felt when the Pistons ended up with Steve Blake. And how when he would play in the games, I would change the channel and I couldn't watch because I was so disgusted by him. Just as a guy, I hated him. That was the same. Dylan Gabriel, just couldn't stand the guy. I couldn't stand him. Dante Moore, really, really liked Dante Moore. Played a great game against USC on Saturday, matter of fact. Played a really, really great game. Dan Lanning's got these guys hooping up in Eugene. I'm telling you, it might be Oregon's year. Oh, they lost to Indiana. Yeah, so does everybody else. Dumbass. So who cares? That means it's not a real loss. Hello? Ever heard of the Super Bowl prediction? I don't know. I like Bills Bucks. I don't have any reason to go against that. I haven't mentioned the Eagles yet. I don't know why I would. I haven't mentioned the Packers yet. I can't think of a damn reason why I would. The Bears? Right. Oh, right. Right, the Bears. Yeah, man. I hope they make the playoffs. But I mean, if it has to be us or them, obviously no. But I really hope they get in because I just think it'll be funny if they win a game. Could that be against the Lions conceivably? Yeah, I guess it. No, it couldn't. No, it couldn't. No, dumbass, no, because the four. No. Yes, it could. Yes, it could because there's 8 teams that get in. One of them has a bye. 2 versus 7. That's one game. 3 versus 6. 4 versus 5. No, those are just the division winners. Yep, those are just. Yep. All right, those are just the division winners. Okay. No. There has to be another game. Terrible way to just stumble through the finish line of this segment. I'm gonna have to cut all of this out. What else do I got for you guys? Send you off on your week. Again, I'm sorry. There's not going to be another episode for the rest of the week, so I just want to see. I'm just trying to rack my brain if there's anything funny that's happened or that I want to tell you guys about. I don't know. What have I been doing? Well, when I have free time, I've just been playing a lot of Ultimate Team in FIFA. It finally happened. I finally turned into an Ultimate Team guy. But I don't do... So here's my problem. This is sort of a two-parter. You PS5 players out there, you guys experience this too with Drift Stick? How many... First of all, if you've had your... Well, it doesn't matter. How long have you had your PlayStation and how many controllers have you gone through? Because I'm about this Christmas season, I'm going to be on my 3rd one. I've had my PlayStation for like 4 years now. That doesn't seem right. And I've had drift stick on all of that. Like I went like 2 years with a controller that had complete drift stick, and I just wouldn't fix it or like get a new one because I'm not paying $70 for a new controller. That's fucking insane. I'll just learn how to play with drift stick. Like that's fine. But it also then makes it so I only play sports games because I can't really otherwise do anything else because I have such severe drift stick. I can at least kind of control it depending on what sports game I'm playing. You know, it's at least like negligible enough to some extent. It's not though when I'm trying to play like competitive games. It's not like sports games. It's not. I can't play like online against like when I play Rush. Fuck me. Don't pass me the ball. Don't pass me the ball in FIFA. Don't pass me the ball because I'm not gonna be able to do anything with it. Because there's nothing I can do. I got drift stick. Like again, I can play. Like I can play the game, but it's just so frustrating. And then I just got to play against AI, so I just do like squad battles and stuff. But yeah, man, Ultimate Team is so sick, so sick. Gambling in games is so fun. Opening packs rocks. It rocks. It's so addicting. So addicting. I mentioned a story on this show, maybe 2 months ago at this point. We had the family. We were outside. We were just, we were kicking the ball around to each other. And we were right next to a field where this, a bunch of kids they had like a soccer practice going on. And there was clearly one field where these kids were done with their practice and they were just like waiting for their parents or siblings or whatever. And they were all just playing with each other. And this kid, I was wearing my PSG Scalia jersey and he came over. He's like, I like your jersey and blah, blah, blah. And so we're like chopping it up with this 10-year-old kid and we're talking about all this stuff. I go, yeah, man, like FIFA just came out. Like, are you playing the game? And he's like, no, like I'm going to ask for it for Christmas though. I was like, that's cool. Like, what do you play? Like, do you do Ultimate Team or like, do you do career mode or like, what do you do? He goes, no, my parents don't let me play online. I looked at men. I was like, God damn, like wow, like good for his parents. Because that really is like, especially with a game like that, like it seems dumb, but that really is the way to go. Because for like me, my adult developed brain, who's able to accurately snipe out, when somebody's trying to get me. Well, I know that with my wrinkled brain that Ultimate Team is it's a cash grab. It's a cash grab. They're trying to scam me. They're trying to. It's not loot boxes. It's not gambling. It is a surprise mechanic. That is what we'll call it. It's a surprise mechanic. It's not gambling. It's fiction. It's been made up. No, it's super fun though. Super predatory as fuck. And that's where I was going with it is like good for that kid's parents that they're not letting a 10-year-old kid essentially just like use just like pull slot machines all day with their damn credit card. But yeah, it's super fun. Yeah, super fun. Is it too bad that that's where gaming is now? Yeah, I mean, sure. That and, the microtransactions and how a game like Call of Duty hasn't realized. I mean, I can't say what I'm about to say because it's not true. I was going to say they haven't realized that they're not Fortnite and the whole skins thing doesn't really work in their game the same way. Well, that's clearly not true because they make like billions of dollars off of it. So that's not true. I mean, I think the overall appeal of the game sort of just drops, you know, as soon as you're like a non-Fortnite game who, you know what I mean? Like when you introduce like a Rick and Morty skin and I'm like, but I thought this was, you know what I mean? Like, wait, so what is this game exactly? You guys see all this shit that's coming out about Megan Thee Stallion, and every few months it's like once the public zeitgeist forgets that Tory Lanez shot her, something from that fucking court case has to like be released from the public, or we have to hear something from fucking one of these people about it. Okay. Most recently, we learned like Megan Thee Stallion was mad about or like turned down a Call of Duty collab, like where they would have put her skin in the game. And she was like, the problem was that like that her character could get shot at or something. I'm like, what the fuck? Yeah, it's Call of Duty. And I was reading about this on like one of my like little snarky pop girly subreddits, and they're like, oh my God, like, well, obviously if her character can be shot at, like, well, they shouldn't even have made her character shootable. Like, what the fuck? Like, that's so gross. Like, it just goes to show like how much people hate women. I'm like, I'm like, listen, the shit that you're like saying like systemically can be true, but the example that you're using is the stupidest fucking thing in the world. This makes no goddamn sense at all. Of course she's shootable. Of course she's shootable. It's Call of Duty. Don't be in Call of Duty, Megan Thee Stallion, if you don't want to be. I must have read a headline wrong. I must have read 2 or 3 headlines completely wrong, because otherwise I just think this is a woman that makes too much damn sense. You know, there's rumors. Some of you guys have sent in emails about this too. I don't believe this at all. That people, I don't want to, you know what? I'm not John Morant. I'm not going to say anything about Klay Thompson, because I'm not John Morant, because I'm better than John Morant. I'm a better man than him. I wonder if I believe that that's true. That I'm a better man than John Morant. It's easy for me to, you know, immediately make a joke about guns. Do I think the first question that I would then ask myself is, before I go down that road, is, do I think that the videos of John Morant, you know, brandishing firearms on Instagram is a reflection of his character as a man? Do I think that? No, I don't think as a man. See, but then I just think as a person, sort of in general. I don't think it has anything to do with it. But then this goes to me and gender identity, and that's something I already just am so detached from. I don't know what it means to be a man. Well, did I say as a man or just as a guy? Like, do I think I'm a better guy than him? He's probably more generous than I am. I would believe in and it wouldn't take much for me to believe it, but because I'm not very generous. I want shit for me. Like, you know, unless it's my immediate, who's living in my house family. Well, or my grandparents, of course. Well, or my brother. That's probably about it. Well, my sister and her kids. That's probably about it. No, I'm not very generous, though. I'm not very generous. Do I think that, because being athletic does not make you a better guy. Orenthal James Simpson was more athletic than me. That guy ran for 2,000 yards. You know how it's hard to, you know, almost cut 2 people's heads off in like 15 minutes, you know? Do I think I'm a better guy than him? Yes. Yeah. But do I think I'm a better guy than Ja? I honestly think that we both are. I bet there's more connective tissue between John Morant and I than either of us would think. I don't know what it would be. Does he wear quarter zips? I know that's a big thing now. People getting really on board. Our culture is allowed to be other people's costumes when it's something like quarter zips. Got it. But if I wanted to, it doesn't matter. If you're listening to this on Spotify, it's unknowable. It's unknowable if you're listening to this on Spotify. I'm going to ask the same question that I asked because I don't know if this is going to upload. I don't know what's going on. I asked in the last episode, I said, if I came over to your house, what would you make me for dinner? What would you make me? I said, we can't DoorDash anything. I would like an answer. We got a couple of them. Some of you emailed. I would like an answer on this, though, Spotify. And then if you don't want to answer that, did you hear the episode today? Did you hear something? Did you learn something today? Did you hear something that made you laugh? Did you hear something that made you go, hey, babe, come listen to this. Come listen to this show. Come listen to this Apple Podcast. What's up? What's up? I will catch you guys
in the next one.